Hello, guys. How are y'all doing today? We would like to talk to you about women's health, the hormones that go all over the place, fluctuating, and the blood sugars. What happens to them? Most of the time, we don't even know what's going on with the drastic changes that we feel, and we have not been told. So, to discuss about that today, Mutima and I are here together. We would like to talk about what is going on and what can we do about it. Some of the real things that you can take away, understand before that, understand what's behind this. So, Mutima is the founder of uh, I'm sorry, Mutima, if you can introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so enthusiastic to be here with you today during National Diabetes Awareness Month. But I'm Mutima Jackson Anderson, and I am the executive director. I'm also the founder of the Ruby A. Neeson Diabetes Awareness Foundation. And we were formed back in 2012, and we're working together to bridge health equity gaps. But I'd like to say we would like to build lasting legacies instead of just treating the disease of diabetes. So I'm super excited to be here with you today.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. So, just so that y'all can understand a little bit, what's going on with our women's health. Most of the time, we always put it on something else. We are blaming something else, right? Tell
Mhm.
me, this is a question for all of you guys that are joining us. Tell me, have you ever felt something like this? One day you have burst of energy, and then the next day you're just dragging yourself through the whole day, and
Mhm.
then you notice when you look at yourself in the mirror, your waistline shifts.
Yeah.
What's happening? Your cravings,
Yeah.
all of those cravings go all over the place, and you step on the scale and boom, you don't even recognize the number on the scale.
Mhm.
It feels like your body is not listening to you anymore. And
Yes,
that's the
I
hardest
can
part.
relate. Yes, I absolutely can relate. I've been a lot of fatigue, and I thought I was like my body is like turning on me as I'm aging, but it's obvious something was wrong. So, and as a diabetes advocate, I wanted to know, how diabetes affects women differently because obviously, it does.
Yes, I know. And as you were just saying, right? The hardest part is women think, they are to be blamed for this. And they think maybe I'm not doing something right.
Mhm.
I am doing something wrong, and maybe I'm not disciplined enough, or I'm aging. You blame on that age, or I'm eating way too much, then I don't even know. But none of this is true, Mutima. None of this is true. Your body is not betraying you. Your body is just talking to you. All you need to do is just listen to the
Mhm.
body, what it is saying.
Mhm. Okay, and I know, and I wanted to because this is National Diabetes Awareness Month, and the theme for this year is diabetes in the workplace. And when I was thinking about this conversation today and understanding that we're going to, have some dialogue on women and in the workplace, but I want to kind of circle back on how diabetes affects women differently in different stages of our lives. I mentioned aging. Some of us have menstrual cycles, some of us no longer. We're entering to perimenopause or complete menopause. Can you shed some light on exactly how diabetes, again, affects women differently and some of those unique challenges that we may face as women?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that question. So, you know, we are going through perimenopause and then eventually menopause, right? That's where our hormones are fluctuating all over the place. One day it could be really high, one day it could be low. That's why there you have so many mood swings, and
Mhm.
that can happen as early as late 30s.
Mhm.
Um, uh, So that is the most struggling part because it's all over the place. Your changes are going on, and there's no way to diagnose that because you could be going to the lab and getting your blood work done, checking your estrogen, progesterone, hormones, and it could be fine today. And then you go back tomorrow, it could drop. So it's really diagnosed through the symptoms. And then
Okay.
eventually, when you get to menopause textbook wise, it says, 1 year with no menstrual period.
Mm-hmm.
You go 1 year, and then with that one day after that 1 year, that's the menopause day. And after
Hmm.
that, it's called postmenopause. That's what it talks about.
Okay.
So that's primarily how they define menopause, primarily be postmenopause. And for those people that have like surgical stuff done, so they are on postmenopause depending on what they did during the surgery. So that is what perimenopause and menopause. So here, most of the time, the primary hormones that we are talking about
Hmm.
are estrogen and progesterone.
Okay. Repeat that again. Estrogen and
Progesterone.
progesterone. Okay.
Yeah,
And I have a question when we talk about those hormones. Now, is it, what is a common risk factor? Well, we know some of the risk factors for developing diabetes. Is that also different from women and men as far as with reference to the risk factors?
risk factors, just in general, risk factors for diabetes. Is that what you're?
No, we know the risk factors, but are the risk factors different for women?
Yeah. So because
Well, I guess my question is, we know the universal risk factors, I'm sorry, for
yeah,
diabetes, specifically type 2, but do you see more common certain risk factors in women that you may not see in men? Well,
correct. Yeah,
mhm,
because of our hormone fluctuations.
mhm,
Because I mean, men go through too, but for them it's more steadier, and for
mhm,
us, we just fall off the cliff. It's like abruptly happens. So
mhm,
I was talking about estrogen, right? So think about estrogen is as the glucose whisperer.
mhm,
So
mhm.
estrogen helps your cells respond better to insulin, and
Okay.
we need that insulin, right,
Mhm,
in our body, which is the key that lets the glucose into the cells. So when estrogen drops or fluctuates, which is happening during our middle age years for women, so
mhm,
the cells stop listening well
mhm.
to that insulin, and that leads to that insulin resistance. And more insulin gets released to compensate for that. So now you have higher insulin and increased belly fat,
Yeah.
higher blood sugars,
Mhm.
and higher risk for diabetes.
Okay, so you mentioned higher belly fat. So let me ask you, how does diet impact our estrogen levels?
So, estrogen receptors are all over our body, pretty
Hmm.
much everywhere. So, that's why we see like so many multiple symptoms that are happening
Mhm.
in our body. So
Okay.
that's how, because with everything, estrogen is there, helping. So this decline really affects everything. And also with during this time we go through a lot of stress
Yeah.
because our cortisol levels are
Mhm.
elevated. So that cortisol, between that cortisol level and this high production of that insulin, because it's not, the glucose is not being responded to go into the cells. So
Mhm.
all of this compounded effect causes that
Okay.
belly fat accumulation.
Okay. Often people often ask me about diet now with estrogen because I mentioned I thought my body was like playing tricks on me or just not being, I started to, I was heavily fatigued. I would have these crazy headaches. I'm like, I've never experienced migraines like this. So, but I would take estrogen and sometimes it didn't work. So I'm like, is my estrogen high or estrogen too low? Are you able to maybe shed light on, or how do you know if your estrogen is high, or how do you know if it's low?
So let me ask you. So you said you were taking estrogen.
Yes,
Uh,
I would take estrogen supplements at night because I am middle age. I know I'm in perimenopause. Because I've had some of the symptoms, and I would take estrogen at night because I was having like really bad migraines. I was so tired. I mean, fatigue. My fatigue was fatigued. I was exhausted. So I thought my estrogen was low. So I would take the supplements. But then not a lot changed. So I'm like, was it high? Was it low? Or how would I know?
that one, it's really kind of with your symptoms you would know high or low, but
Mhm.
after you start taking, like if you're under the care of a physician, and not, again, let me tell you, many of them don't believe in this still, and they might not prescribe, but there are some that do prescribe. So if you're under their care, and when they are prescribing you, so after about 6 weeks to eight
Mhm.
weeks they will check, they'll be asking your symptoms. Depending on that, they will check the levels again,
Mhm.
and then adjust accordingly. And I do believe, taking estrogen, progesterone, but at the same time, not just taking that is
Mhm.
not going to alleviate all your symptoms. The key here is, along with that, making the lifestyle changes.
Mhm. And
That
can you share some of the lifestyle changes that you recommend as a clinician for someone that are experiencing perimenopause symptoms? What are some of the lifestyle changes that they can make? And in addition to diet, if you can recommend certain things that they can add to their food intake. Mhm.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. So, as we know, inflammation is the key, right?
Mhm.
So much of inflammation is going on. And, also these hormones are anti inflammatory. You don't have it. So, even without that, in diabetes, inflammation, you want to lower that inflammation. Starting with the diet, it is a whole food plant based diet,
Okay.
something that comes naturally, from the ground, that you can eat, and, flavor that with different flavors so
Mhm.
that it tastes better. So, that is the key. And fiber,
Mhm.
in our food, standard American diet,
Yeah.
don't have fiber,
Mhm.
and we hardly consume any fiber.
Mhm.
Fiber, I'm not talking about the fiber supplements. I
Mhm.
am talking about fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes. So, fiber that comes naturally. So, that's the fiber that helps these blood sugars to keep it down. Now, I call it, fiber acts like a scrubber to scrub
Okay.
it, it's,
Mhm.
and it keeps you satiated for a while. So, that's the key, eating a variety of plants. The more variety you eat, the better. Because same thing, if we eat the same thing over and over again, we are tired. So our gut bacteria needs that variety of fiber.
Mhm.
And also another thing that happens, Mathema, during this time is our gut is in dysbiosis. So our good and bacteria is, really flipped. So that is another reason too all these things start
Mhm.
happening. And
Yeah.
also with the mood swings, all of that, because gut is the root
That's
of
right.
our entire health.
Mhm.
So when that is in dysbiosis, so going back to that is, eating lots of greens, And beans, legumes. Beans is a number one fiber food.
Mhm.
Many of them cannot eat beans because they're not used to eating beans, so they say, oh, I can't, my I have bloating and all of
Yeah.
that. So for them I say start small, because your gut is not used to that. You just can't introduce a whole bunch. Very
Right.
small, for even as little as 1 tablespoon. Let that get that used to it, and slowly increase accordingly. So adding more vegetables and more fruit. Don't shy away from fruit, because fruit has that fiber in it. Fruit,
Mhm.
people think that fruit is going to raise my blood sugar. Not
Mhm.
really, because of that fiber component in it.
Mhm.
It's all natural, not the fruit juice,
Right.
the actual fruit. And plenty of greens, and also flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, are omega 3s, and nuts, different nuts. Again,
Mhm.
nuts, you got to be just careful. Handful
Yeah.
of nuts. We are not
Mhm.
talking about way too much of nuts. So that's about the nutrition, right? I'm trying to see if I'm missing anything else. So
No, no, you're not. And I'm happy. I just want to enter just for 1 second. I'm so happy that you mentioned the spiritual aspect of it. As a diabetes, for my diabetes support groups, I would hear people say all the time, I can't eat this, or I don't eat apples, or I don't eat, I can't eat kale because I'm on certain medication. I'm like, you can't eat the kale because, like, if they're on blood thinners or something. You can't eat that because of the medication. But God designed our body to for healing also. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because oftentimes when we talk about lifestyle changes, we also have to be mindful of our behaviors. Our behavior is a huge factor in why you won't eat the beans, or why you feel that you can't have that, because you need to make some changes in your behavior. We're all different. Our bodies are different. But if you can, like you said, go back to a more plant-based diet, these are things of the earth. These are things that God made for us to have to heal, to be able to heal and healthy, live long lives. So I'm so happy you mentioned lifestyle, but also we do have to, some of us have to change our behaviors. And that's why I had to change my behavior. And that's why I have a family history of diabetes. My mom, she passed at 54. My grandmother, I have cousins. But I'm so thankful to God that for the past 7 years, my A1C has been 4.7 or 4.9, but I am not diabetic. And it's because I've changed. I had to start with my behavior and my lifestyle. So thank you for mentioning the spiritual aspect. But you can continue with the lifestyle
sure.
changes.
Just going back to that, what you have just said about that, that's our human tendency, right? I'm not used
Mhm.
to that. I cannot eat. I mean, with the greens and blood thinners, I would say to those people, go back, because it's about the dosage you're taking plus how much. Because all of a sudden you introduce, if you're consistently doing like the same amount that you're eating
Mhm.
and the dosage, it will stabilize. So I would advise them to talk to the dietitian about how much greens that they can eat along with this. That way it's more optimized with that. And also about what we are used to, what we are not used to, because we have been pre-programmed, uh,
Yeah.
especially the first 7 years. All the things that have been introduced,
Mhm.
that's what our parents were eating, that's what our community, wherever we went, that's
Right.
what it was. So we believe that was good, and everything revolves around food, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we want to continue that, and it's hard to make a change. So for that, first, with all my clients, I say, okay, let's review this.
Mhm.
Why are we doing these changes? We first need to know, we need to understand ourselves, Not just about one day going to a wedding, you want to be nice and thin and looking
Mhm.
all of that. Not That's
Right.
not the reason. The
Yeah.
real reason why do you want to make these changes? You need to really, dig deep in and understand what are my values, what is my goal as I am, getting older, seasoned, whatever you want to call. What is my goal? How do I want to live? Do I want to be, popping pills, sitting on the couch, watching TV, somebody coming and helping me?
Yeah.
Or do I
Hmm.
want to be independent? Do I want to get up and walk and go outside, do nature stuff? Do I want to
Hmm.
play, enjoy my time with my grandchildren, run around with them? Uh,
Hmm.
so that those are the set questions I give them. They need to answer. Then you will get to that point of why is that you're wanting. You need to know that real reason and what is my health vision. Everybody's is
Hmm.
different. Mine is different. Yours is different. We all have different reasons why we are
Yeah.
doing these things, right?
Hmm.
So coming up with your why. Once you know that, plaster that all over the place. So, why am I doing this? That when
Right.
you know that and keep that in the background, you will continue, doing it.
Yeah.
Last week I was out on vacation, and I was like, oh, I don't want to, exercise this morning, whatever. Then I had to connect back to my why. Why am I doing this?
Right.
Then
Yeah.
that's when I got up,
And
went to
just exercise.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that is the reason that keeps you going, you know.
Right.
So
And
consistency is
that's
the
a thank you. That's a really great approach when you have, because we're going to have people that are going to be resistant to your teaching. And I'm glad that you mentioned some of the like even cultural. There are some barriers in I know after the African American culture on even just going to the house, going to the doctor, and also food. We're preparing for Thanksgiving. Probably one of them. We're going to eat a lot of food coming up next week. But we do have to, like you said, what is your why? You want to live a productive, lifestyle. You want to be healthy. So, what is your why? So that's a really good approach. But I wanted to talk because I wrote some questions here. I do want to talk to you because I love the way that you prioritize women's health. So I just want to know a little bit. I know some of your viewers, they may know why, what is your why, but I want to know what inspired you to become a clinician, to become a registered nurse, and what is your connection, your personal connection to diabetes?
okay. So my story on that is I the reason I wanted to become a registered nurse was to help people, to make a change in them, right? And as I'm working, doing all this, and I see, patients coming back with the same issues, seemed over time, it seemed like I'm not really helping them
Mm,
because nothing is being solved here. It's
wow.
continuous recurrence that's been happening. So that's when I was like, going into did more research and all that,
Mm,
and then I went into diabetes prevention program, and then
mhm.
obesity. Kind of these are all like interconnected, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
after that too, still I said there's some other link missing, and then dug a little bit deeper in. It's about spirituality too. It's like a
Yeah.
holistic approach.
Hmm.
As I'm doing one thing, I was like satisfied with it for a while. Then I'm like, okay, no, something else missing, something else. So
Hmm.
eventually I got in. I said, if I want to help people, that if that's my goal, then I would like to be their partner and coach them. you know
Right.
I don't want to, I am not saying I'm an expert. We all are learning every single day,
Yeah.
but I am there as a coach, there, the guide partner with them, moving
Mhm.
them along, and showing the evidence. What is the science saying? What is the evidence that's out there? This is what it is. So when you do it this way, these are the effects of it.
Mhm.
This way. So which path do you want to go? And connect that to your values and
Mhm.
connect that to your why,
Right.
before you make that choice. So that's where I have seen really working with my clients,
Mhm.
where they were able to dial down taking their medications,
Mhm.
and their numbers got much better. So
Wonderful.
those were the real results I was able to see. That's what inspires me to do more and more,
Okay.
versus somebody constantly coming back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
Because you want to build lasting wellness. You want to, instead of just treat diabetes. And congratulations, because it really it means something when you can help someone even with their A1C. If it can drop a few points, I think you are making a huge difference. And I'm so happy that you are, as I mentioned, focusing on women's health. Now, there are some stigmas associated with diabetes. How do you feel about that? And what do you think we need to do in the diabetes community to kind of address some of those stigmas of diabetes?
it's, I feel first about labeling,
Mm,
like when we go to the doctor, or somebody else even saying, we got used to that, right? People say, oh, I'm a diabetic, or I'm a cardiac patient. So I think first of all we need to remove those labels,
yeah.
because when we are labeling ourselves, so that is what you're affirming to yourself. That
That's good. Yeah.
affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
I'm diabetic, I'm diabetic, I'm diabetic. So that's getting engraved into
Mm-hmm.
me, and that's what.
Mm-hmm.
So because as I said, I do the holistic approach, right? It's
Yeah.
like affirmation. What affirmation? It's like, okay, that is, one of the conditions that I have, but I am not that.
Right.
That's
Right.
a
Because
huge
you're right. You don't want
shift.
to affirm that. Right. I agree. Yeah.
That's a huge way of thinking, right?
Mhm.
So, okay, thanking the body for that. Okay, those symptoms came up, and because we don't know what's going on inside of us,
Mhm.
right? Again, listening to the body. So the symptoms came up, you've been diagnosed, and all of that. Okay, so that body is trying to tell you something. So listening to that, okay, it's saying, this is what is showing up. What can I do? Because our body is very, very forgiving at
Mhm.
any stage. So if you start making the changes, connecting that again to your why, your
Yeah.
values,
Mhm.
making those changes,
Mhm.
listening to that body and saying, thank you for showing up in my,
Mhm.
people might think, okay, is she crazy or what, saying thank you for showing
No,
up?
I love it because you're right. That approach, I mean, I'm not speaking negatively against the medical industry because I know you're a clinician, but we do have to have a more holistic approach. It has to be a balance. I would never tell anyone, don't take your medication and just go, just say affirmations and go about your day. But I do feel it has to be a balance. But you are saying affirmations, understanding your why. It's about, like you said, knowing why you're here and you're being purpose driven, and you have to factor in your health. I love it. I do my affirmations every morning because it gives me the confidence that I need, or it helps with the confidence for me to take better care of myself. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so understanding, it's like, okay, thank you for, showing up. So now I know you, if it did not surface, I would not have known.
Mhm.
So let me see what I can do to make the changes,
Mhm.
to live a healthier life if that's what I want to do, you
Mhm.
know, to manage this, what can I do to shift into that? And another big thing, I always,
Mhm.
most of the time, people say, okay, I need to watch out for all this because I have diabetes. But
Yeah.
even, Mutima, people that are not diagnosed yet, too, blood sugars really drive our whole day. How
Yeah.
we start off in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
our mood, our energy level, everything. You don't have to be like conscientious about it just because you've been diagnosed, or I can do whatever I want to, I'm not diagnosed with it. You still got to be conscientious of
Right.
how you're starting off your day.
Right.
First thing in the morning, how are you breaking that fast after all night fast you have slept? You're waking up, that first meal, what are you putting into your mouth
Mm-hmm.
first with every
Mm-hmm.
single meal? All of those really, that postprandial blood sugars after you eat, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
All of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Even the order of eating. Like in the morning, most of the time, what do we do? Just go and have a cup of
Get a cup of
coffee.
coffee. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Get a
some of
coffee.
them are used to, like, a slice of bread along with
Mm-hmm.
that or something. So your gut has been empty all night, and you're starting off with that harsh coffee
Mm.
in that. And the bread does not matter what kind of bread
Mm-hmm.
it is, every one of them have fructose
Mm-hmm.
in them.
Yeah.
And how does that set your day because of that?
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking about that stuff. And especially for breakfast, we are not used to, in our country, we are used to sweet breakfast.
Yes. Like Danish and a cup of coffee. Sugar on top of sugar. Yes.
Yes, even
Yes.
even for those who say, okay, I'm eating oatmeal, even that oatmeal, we add some brown sugar, we add some raisins and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. And so that's how we are driven, we have been eating that way.
Mm-hmm.
But starting with a vegetable,
Mm-hmm.
you know starting with the vegetable, eating, because we have certain set things. This is only for breakfast, this is only for lunch, this is only
Yeah.
for dinner. So,
Yeah.
I had one client I was working with. He was like, no, I have to eat every my lunch, cheese sandwich, because that's how I grew up. I'm like,
Right, and that's so funny because I was thinking when we were talking about diabetes. Well, I don't know if we mentioned like some of the risk factors, but with diabetes, one of the risk factors, family history. And I've heard so often in my classes, well, Mutima, diabetes runs in my family.
yes,
No, it doesn't run in your family, but that stack of pancakes you've had that, like some of the habits, the bad habits running your family. So it's time to, make some changes and break that cycle. So you're right. We have these unhealthy habits that we think it's normal because yeah.
yeah, that is a hard to. It took about 5 weeks for him to break that cycle.
Yeah, because it's right. It's something that he's probably had that cheese sandwich, or they've had that cheese sandwich for, and their mom, they probably already always had that cheese sandwich for lunch. So yeah, that goes back to our, our behavior. We have to make some changes, and I do want to know because we're both health advocates, and we have met with delegates and legislation about, some of the issues our patients face. But I want to know, what do you see? What do you hope for the future of diabetes?
um, you have just brought up about legislature and all that
Mhm.
stuff, right? That, again, with the politics and everything, it just shifts so much
Yeah.
from who's in power to who's not.
Hmm.
And most of the time, this is just totally my opinion,
Yeah.
you know, they do what's best for them.
Hmm.
Politicians do what's
Hmm.
best for them. And
Hmm.
what they are saying and what they will actually do might not match,
Mm-hmm.
when they're back in power. And again, during the time of election, it goes back and forth.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
that's
mm-hmm.
the hot topic. Let's talk about it. Let's bring some advocates and talk about it.
Yeah,
So those are the external factors. Bigger shift is us taking control of ourselves.
right. Mm-hmm.
If
And I
we
think that's
say,
the key to the, yeah, that's the key. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, 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 that's exactly what I was saying. Like, if we say, okay, I want to take control, because if we depend on others, that's like pointing fingers at others, right? You you want to make a change, you do
Mhm.
that, and then you go back and advocating.
Right. And self advocacy is so important. And the reason why I asked, where do you see or what do you think about the future of diabetes? Because a lot of the program participants that we serve, they're in lower income communities. And I'm looking at what's going on with even the Affordable Care Act. A lot of people won't even be able to afford insurance. And those with chronic diseases, not just diabetes, but those with chronic diseases, I do worry about the future for them if they're dependent on a certain entity for their health care. We have to take ownership of our health. And as you mentioned, you provided some jewels, some really good information on how we can take ownership of our health, our diet. And I think that's the key, because we can't continue to depend on certain entities to take care of us.
Yeah, as you were just talking about some of the communities, right, that need extra assistance, yeah, they get the WIC program. What are you buying through that? Are you picking up sodas, juices, things like that, versus, whatever the amount you get?
Mhm.
What are you picking?
Mhm.
The cheapest stuff is the fast food. That's not good for us. That,
Mhm.
what? I don't even know, like for $2, you get like a good burger and a big soft drink and another, a dessert type of stuff. Yeah, sure, it's very less, but you might think it filled you up and then you'll be hungry again later.
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
just that, how is that going to affect your health? How
Right.
much is that going to cost you down the road? So I would say, Mutima, for those communities, um, I wish I could do that. If there's an opportunity, I would love to do that. Is like the have like a community garden. Let them all
Yeah.
come together.
Mhm.
Have a community garden where you're growing your own food.
Mhm.
And also, I'm sure they all have to work, different timings and all that. Maybe do like a community cooking, um, uh, you know, doing it that way, where you are within your community supporting each other. And same thing, when you're doing that, you're also building relationships.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
That's another big,
Mhm. Mhm.
pillar of lifestyle medicine.
Yeah.
Relationships nowadays, we everybody is all into these social media, thinking that Facebook friend, this friend, that friend, they're not really friends. But
Right.
in
Mhm.
social media, the face you see is the most prettiest.
Mhm.
You don't know what's going on behind the scenes with them.
That's right.
Not
That's right.
until you really, sit with them, talk to them. That's that relationship, that connection we are missing. Nowadays,
Mhm.
we don't even pick up the phone and call people. We just
Mhm.
text each other. Um, you know, so during these community events, that's where the relationship building
Yeah.
happens. And
Mhm.
supporting each other, managing the stress is another big thing with our the higher stress, higher cortisol level, the blood sugars going up and all of that
Mhm.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
how can we what can we do collectively as a community? How can we divvy it up? It's a huge mountain.
Mhm.
What is in our control?
Right.
How can we divvy the stuff that's there.
Mhm.
Let's focus on ourselves instead of, once we start pointing fingers and that's the easy way, and
Yeah.
that's how we are programmed to do.
Mhm.
Something
Mhm.
doesn't happen because of that person,
Mhm.
because of that it didn't happen. Okay,
Mhm.
let's flip it. What can I do?
Right.
What can I do for
Mhm.
myself? What can we as a community do for our own health and well-being?
Mhm.
Because nobody else wants to be healthier than I do.
That's right. That's right. And I love that you mentioned we have to, a huge part of our health and wellness, it is support. And that's why I wanted to speak with you today. So, and this is a form of support. If you have any questions, put it in the, if you're able to chat, or you can speak to me afterwards. I did want to ask you about inflammation and diet, because one of someone that I have supported, they asked for some any advice on how to eat with type 2 diabetes and an autoimmune disease. So if you can share, if you have some feedback. I don't know if Miss Jamie is watching, but I wanted to answer her question. But yes, support is very important. And yeah.
Yeah, again, with the food thing, right? We briefly covered earlier, is anytime, doesn't matter, breakfast, lunch, dinner, don't compartmentalize it.
Mm-hmm.
This is my breakfast food, this is my lunch food, this is my dinner food. Don't. We can eat whatever we want to. It does not have to be certain set. Breakfast means cereal. It does
Mm-hmm.
not have to be that way. Vegetables is the goal. Start with a veggie
Okay.
which has a lot of fiber in it,
Mm-hmm.
and then follow it up, especially for our women's health during the
Yeah.
stages. It's a
Mm-hmm.
little different way we have to live, and
Mm-hmm.
protein along
Yeah.
with that, because
Okay.
fiber fills our gut, the intestine,
Mm-hmm.
and then along with that you need protein, and then you have some grain, whole grain,
Okay.
something like quinoa, millet,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
anything whole grain.
Okay.
And we cannot avoid, life happens, we have things coming up. After that, we have, next week we have Thanksgiving coming up.
We have
All
Thanksgiving.
for dessert,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then you eat your dessert at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So this way, right? So you're filling yourself with fiber, then protein, those two satiate because you need that. And then you have these, and at the end you can have, let's say, okay, our Thanksgiving dinner. It's a
Mm-hmm.
huge meal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with those things, what I say is, before you go, let's if you're going someplace,
Mm-hmm.
before you go, you have some vegetable at home.
Mm-hmm.
Eat
That's
some
good.
at
Mm-hmm.
home before you go. And then once you go, you don't go hungry.
Yeah.
You starve yourself thinking, all calories are not equal. People think,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can just eat whatever I want to and exercise. We'll get to exercise after this. Exercise, and I'm going to burn. It doesn't work that way, right? And all calories are not equal. Whole food
Mm-hmm.
calories and processed food calories are two different things.
Yeah.
So again, we need to watch on that. If you eat, you're already satisfied, and you go there. When you go there starving, same thing with grocery shopping, right?
Yeah.
We're
Don't eat.
starving. We
Yeah.
just pick up whatever we want to.
Mm-hmm.
We're not
Don't eat a
mindful
lot.
on what
Yeah.
we're getting. So
Mm-hmm.
do that. And then as you're walking around, if you see a vegetable tray or something like that, and just, pick that and focus on the relationships, the
Mm-hmm.
people that have come, talk to them, focus on that more than you focus on the food, because you already
Right.
fight yourself, right?
Right,
And
right,
then
if you're having Thanksgiving dinner, have conversations with your family. Don't be on your phone while you
exactly
should
put
be.
the phone away.
Yes, and you can do things that are not it's okay to not you know, you don't have to do a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. You can do something different instead of having, you know, whatever you want to make on your menu. That's fine, but sometimes you may have to revise it, modify it, or do something non-traditional, because again, it's all about our health, right? So yeah, enjoy your, yeah, don't,
Exactly. Like, I was just thinking about when you just said, modify that sweet potato is a big thing, right?
yeah,
During this time. So I love sweet potato.
yeah.
So what I do, I make sweet potato souffle, but I cook the sweet potato already.
Mhm.
And then, to that, I, um, I take blueberries, any berries,
Oh,
just on a pan, I heat it
okay.
up so that berries loosen up. You get all the juices to
Oh.
the berries,
Mhm.
right? And then add date paste. I have the dates. Any desserts I use dates because this is a fruit. Yes, it is drier because the water has been taken out, but
Okay.
date paste, I always like take the dates, blend it up
Mhm.
instead of buying. You don't know what's in it. If
Right.
it's possible, I make it at home. So
Okay.
add the date paste to it
Mhm.
together and then layer the sweet potato at the bottom, then the berries that has some date paste in it,
Okay.
put it on. And also in that, I like cardamom. It has lots of flavor, and
Mhm.
cinnamon, so I add those, and also garnish with some nuts and bake it for a little bit and take it out. So that's my sweet potato pie.
That, and it's healthy because you have healthier ingredients. I mean, I when I grew up, we had sweet potato souffle that was made with a heaping, like a load of butter, a lot of sugar. So yeah, we have to do things differently for our health. So I'm gonna try the date paste because I like dates. I
Yeah,
love dates. So I think that will give it a really, really good taste. So thank you for that.
you're
Thank
very
you for that.
welcome. Yeah, like
So,
even for if you want like certain things, cashew paste is another creamy way of doing
okay.
it. And
Okay.
for soups, the creaminess, instead of using the cream, the garbanzo beans.
Oh, yeah. I love gabazon beans. Yeah.
So you just blend it up and put it in there. That becomes nice and creamy.
Okay, I that's a really good because right now I don't eat. I'm a pescatarian. I only eat seafood. Because my iron is low. I was told beef is the best thing. So sometimes I will have some beef to supplement my diet, but it has to be bison because I feel that's the best beef. But yeah, I've had to make lots of changes because again, some of the old ways of cooking or some of those old habits were not working for me. I was very determined. I do not want to be diabetic. I know I lost my mom. My organization's named in my mother's name. She was 54. She passed away very prematurely, as did my grandmother and one of my best friends, who was my cousin. So I know the devastation diabetes, when not treated, type 2, it can cause. So I'm just trying to do things different. And I'm happy we can have conversations to help others who want to do things different and to live also. Diabetes, it doesn't mean that it's an automatic death sentence, but you have to take care of yourself and you have to make some lifestyle changes in order for you to, live a productive, to live a longer life. So that's why I'm here and I'm happy that's how we were connected. So yeah, Thanksgiving is going to look a little different in my
Yeah,
household. We just have to do things differently.
yeah. Like even just having some apple cider vinegar in a tall a glass of water, a
Mhm,
tablespoon of it, not straight out, but tablespoon of it about 20 minutes before you have your heavy meal.
mhm.
Also, that lowers. And after you eat, just stroll for 15 minutes. So these are the things, 2 hours after our postprandial blood sugars, they don't spike up that much. It will, moderate spike and then it will go back down. It's not going
Yeah.
to spike high and stay up there. So those are, kind of some of the things. Holiday coming up, we are not
Mm-hmm.
saying completely don't eat. You can have, and again, something is on the table, you really, really want it, you love it, go ahead, have, but a smaller portion. Don't feel guilty about it, because
Yeah.
that guilt does not, it doesn't set right with our interpretation of the brain. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're guilty, you feel more hungry of wanting to do it.
Over.
So just say, okay, I want to have it, put it a very small portion, get that satisfaction out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
That's good. That's good. I am so appreciative to you for this conversation. I know we have to wrap up. You've given us some really good tips on nutrition and for holiday nutrition. As you mentioned, some water with a little apple cider vinegar before you eat your meal. So I want to ask the final question before we wrap up. What do you see your career in the future? And also, do you have any parting advice for women and who have diabetes?
um so my career, going forward, is that's what I want to do. I want to make a, be partner, with, uh, whoever needs, who's ready, and
Mhm.
it takes time. It's not a right away thing, and be their partner and help them, whichever way. Because as I'm doing that, I'm also learning every single day.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, and with women, what I want to say is, you know, things, you can still take control of it. It's not like, oh, menopause is not a disease and it's not a death sentence.
Ah,
You know,
okay.
it is not. It is just a phase of our life. We have
Yeah.
gone through puberty, we have gone through pregnancy, now we are going through this stage. And
Mhm.
we'll be in this for the rest of our life. And it's about how are we going to manage ourselves. And this is the time to prioritize,
Mhm.
because as women, we are constantly giving, giving, giving. We don't take care of ourselves. We said, oh,
Mhm.
my job as a mother, as a wife, as a sister, all of these things, grandmother, all of these, we put it on ourselves.
Mhm.
It is us saying, now you need to say, this is my time.
Mhm.
I need to be the priority. Let me get to know me, my
Yeah.
and every single day carve out that time for you.
Mm. I
That
love that.
key, carving that time out, put it on that calendar, no matter what. Tell your family, this is my time. You need some silence time. And we didn't even get to the exercise part of it. We can bring it up next time. How you are going to be lifting the resistance training, because as women, we are more programmed into cardio, cardio, cardio,
Wow. Yeah.
to shift the way in this.
Okay.
So, really saying, I am the priority. That's
Mhm.
key. And no matter what, unless it's an emergency, you would say, this is my time. Tell your family
Mhm.
members, this is my time, and do that. And you will come out beautifully. And all the responsibilities you have to be stronger to be able to fulfill those.
Yeah.
Like
That's
in the
right.
book, what do we say? Put your mask on first before you put others. Same thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
You need to be healthy and strong. If you are not, then you are all stressed out and irritable, to not get much sleep, and you're snappy doing things which is not good for you, which is not good for the others that you're taking care of. It's not good for your relationships.
I love that. So I'm gonna put you on the spot while before we end. Can you share an affirmation?
Um, my affirmation, I would say, okay, I am a strong woman.
Mm-hmm.
I am perfectly healthy
Mm-hmm.
and strong.
Okay. I
So
like that.
whatever I say to my body, that's what it is. It's like, you know, every morning in my meditate prior to my meditation, you just throw a question, do your meditation.
Mhm.
Don't let that, it's going to happen whenever, but you're visualizing, okay, every single cell in my body is full of energy.
Mm.
Every single organ is strong. I have strong muscles. My joints are flexible. My bones are strong. And I have a sharp mind. I'm helping my community.
Yes, I love it. So we're going to have another conversation. There will be as part two, maybe in January. So I hope your audience have if you celebrate, have a happy Thanksgiving. And thank you so much for tuning in. This has been fun. Thank you.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to every single woman out there and men, and make yourself the priority. That's
That's right.
make
That's
yourself
right.
the priority. Thank you for
That's
joining
right.
us.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.